Hi guys, the General Secretary of the RMT union, Mick Lynch, clashed with Ben Kentish of LBC about what the Tories are doing at the moment and planning to do in the future when it comes to the right to protest on the streets via the policing bill or the right to strike via legislation that Liz Truss's administration is putting forward later this year. Mick then accused the LBC host of calling him a militant, which is something that both the Tories and the likes of the Daily Mail have been using as a line of attack against striking unions. Have a listen to this.
Students will have a higher marginal tax rate when they start work than multi-millionaires in this country. That is a regressive transition from progressive taxation towards dole-outs for the super rich. A millionaire will be £55,000 richer next year because of these tax changes. And they want to suppress the unions so that there is no resistance on the streets and no resistance in the workplace. And let's not forget, the right to protest is going to be severely curtailed and made illegal by the other white paper that's coming through and legislation that's coming through, the Police Act, which the police don't even want. We're on the verge of a repressive regime led by right-wing zealots.
A repressive regime? That's a bit far, Mick, isn't it?
Well, if you oppress the trade unions, you'll oppress everyone else. If you oppress the right to protest in the way that they envisage, you will oppress the entire country.
And it must be remembered that right-wing governments in the past, their first course of action is to stop workers from protesting, or to stop people from protesting on the street, to stop workers from striking, or people protesting on the street. This is the first step. To stop protest, to stop people from standing up to the government.
But that will spring back, and we could see serious disturbance in this country if we don't get on with relieving the cost of living crisis and allowing people to have freedom of expression.
But they are spending potentially £200 billion. They are spending potentially £200 billion on exactly that, helping businesses.
Who are they giving
and
the money
households.
to, though, Ben? Where is that money going?
But it is going to help people and businesses.
But Ben, answer this question for me. It's unusual in an interview. Where will that money end up?
You tell me, Mick. I know the answer. You tell me.
Paid directly to the energy.
Yes, but it is going to help people with the cost of living. They have acted on that, to be fair.
They're giving all of us, including me and you, a loan that we have to pay back through our energy bills over the next 5 to 10 years. They are subsidising exploitation through the multi-billionaire oligarch energy companies. 50% of our energy comes directly from the North Sea. They could have taxed those companies so that they lowered the price at the source. What they're doing instead is collecting all of that money, the 100 billion or the 200 billion, whatever it ends up being, directly from us, the ordinary taxpayer and bill payer, and paying it directly to those energy companies. That is an outrage, and the quicker that's exposed by people like yourselves, the better. Instead, what you do is sit there for 3 minutes, calling me a militant union baron.
I didn't say that.
You did.
I asked if people think that of you.
Straight from the Daily Mail playbook.
No,
right?
I didn't say that.
What we've got to do is get a bit of balance. The billionaires in this society and around the world are being subsidised by right-wing zealous governments.
You know what's very interesting? You never hear of the head of one of these companies being interviewed on LBC. You never saw the head of the rail companies being interviewed and answering questions as to why they got massive bonuses, for example, and the workers are going on strike. The same with the energy companies. None of these energy companies' CEOs have gone on LBC or other stations to explain why they're making so much money and why they're not being hit by a windfall tax. Now, they will say, well, that's up to the government, but they would have some opinion on that. Why is that not happening? Why are we talking to Mick Lynch? Why are we talking to ordinary people on the street? Why are we talking to members of government? Why is there a certain class of people who are never interviewed? We don't even know their names. And they're controlling everything. They're the ones who are in charge. The energy companies are the ones who are making massive profits here. Why are they not being challenged on that? The banks who are now receiving, the bankers who are receiving this cap, the removal of this cap, Why are none of these people being interviewed and asked for their opinion on this?
And we're seeing that delivered in the first couple of weeks of this regime. And that is going to cause massive division in our society, which is good for no one. Even some of the Tories will be blanching at what's going on here. This is the biggest redistribution of wealth towards the rich that I've seen in my lifetime. No other government has attempted to do this. I can see it as a massive economic failure, but also as a massive social failure. And the repression of trade unions is the prelude to all of that. Okay. Because trade unions are the biggest democratic organisation in this society. They are going to stop the Royal College of Nursing, never mind about militants, the British Medical Association defending themselves and defending our health service. And don't think that they're not going to rip up our public services and put them to the wolves of privatisation, just as they've done with the energy companies and the rail and our infrastructure. All of our services will be there in the hands of the oligarchs going forward. And that's why they want to disable and suppress the voice of the trade unions and the voice of the working class in this country.
100% agreement. That's what I've been saying as well. It's about suppressing people. It's about using rags like the Express or the Daily Mail or the Sun to convince ordinary people that the enemy is Mick Lynch, to convince them that the enemy is the people striking, to convince them that the enemy is the teacher or the doctor or the nurse or the police officer or whoever, but never them, never the CEO of the energy company, never these individuals who run these banks. These people are never talked about. The media, the right-wing media, convince ordinary people that their greatest threat is people coming across the sea in a rubber boat who have nothing, literally no money in their pockets. Those people are a threat. Single mothers in the 1990s, they were the threat. Refugees, asylum seekers are the threat. It's constantly creating new and other threats for people to be afraid of and people to complain about and people to focus on, and never focus on the people who are making the money here. The energy companies have made massive profits over the last number of months. The bankers are now expected to make massive bonuses, massive amount of money being redistributed, as Mick has said here, to people who don't need it. This tax cut is about shoveling money to people who will not spend it, while ordinary people are struggling to pay the bills to feed their families, and the media will always, of course, point the finger at migrants or single mothers or the poor or people on welfare, people on universal credit, nurses, the NHS. And unfortunately, many people will buy that. People will be sucked in and be convinced. Because, well, surely the head of the Daily Mail is not going to lie to me. Surely there must be some standard that they have to respect. Surely they can't print lies. That's what people have in their minds. That's what they've been conditioned to believe. And as Mick has said here, everything is on the table for privatization. It's, it could be argued that the NHS is almost pretty much privatized as it is. But whatever's left over, it will be the goal of Liz Truss's government to privatize. Everything, as I said, is on the table. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.